How can they hate one operator so much? Like, was it enough to make her bad since day one, and now they just double down on that? When is my girl getting a W? Someone tell me, when is it finally happening? When does the beating stop? In case you are not aware what is going on and where the rage is coming from, a few weeks ago we got news on Chapter 14, Wizardel, logos, Silverlight Eterna and so on. Among these news was the long-awaited announcement of the Lord Guard modules, Lore X, which yields 10% of their attack as additional arts damage, and Lore Y, which increases the ASPD when there are at least 2 enemies within attack range. Lore Y was given to Arene, Leto, Lucia, Hay, information on screen right now, and Lore X was given to Ayascarp, Lapland, Cubi, Silverash, Fawns, and obviously Frostleaf. Information on screen right now. But the one module I want to have a closer look at is Frostleaf's module, and let's start by comparing them to the other modules first, or the other receivers of the Lore X module in particular. From all those operators, with the exception of Ayascarp and Silverash, they all gain ASPD in their stats, which makes sense. Lapland, Cubi, Fawns have skills that work on offensive recovery. Ayascarp provides ASPD with his talent and therefore doesn't need ASPD as a stat, and Silverash gains more than enough attack to not need more ASPD. And then there's Frostleaf. She doesn't gain any ASPD, despite her having the most need for it. Let me give you the rundown as to why Frostleaf needs the ASPD, or would have needed any sort of attack interval decrease. It all starts with her first and only talent. Upon reaching E2, she needs 0.15 seconds longer to attack, meaning her attack interval is now 1.45 instead of 1.3 seconds. Because she was released during a time when they thought it was fine to nerf day 1 operators, because, well, they will get some sort of compensation. In this case, Frostleaf's compensation was 2 times more range. But in the end, this is just a DPS penalty, and we get to that later. Next up would be by far her quote-unquote best skill. Skill 1 slows the enemies for 3 seconds and needs 3 seconds to charge, which would be a perfect fit if she would either attack a bit slower, which would be worst best case, or to make her attack faster. Because of her attack interval of 1.45 seconds, she will always need 1 additional attack just to slow the enemy again, meaning a skill that would theoretically have unlimited uptime has downtime. And let's be honest here, if she would have gained any sort of attack interval decrease or ASPD, it would have helped with her lackluster DPS. Because her entire trust bonus is just defense, no attack at all, like nothing, nada. And this is just the one thing that makes it very curious to me, because this just makes her module a stronger kick to the face. In case you have already forgotten what the Lore X actually does, it deals an additional 10% of their attack as arts damage. So with Frostleaf's 660 attack, she would deal 66 arts damage per attack. In case you want to know how much arts damage this is, it is weaker than Ethan's or Blue Poison's dot, while also ticking slower. Hello, it's me from editing. So in regards to Ethan's damage, I personally am not sure if it is this damage every second, or if it is the overall damage over the duration. So you could just correct me in the comments. But if a module is at max, it actually is 71 arts damage, making it slightly better, so she can kinda keep art, except for like in the rate that this arts damage is applied. And I'm pretty sure if we gave her the Lore Y module, it would have been a better choice, since she already has the increased attack range, making it even easier to trigger the module effect. But I guess not, they just had to troll us by giving her Lore X instead of Lore Y. But maybe if the lack of stats and mediocre trait effects are that bad, just maybe the talent improvement is just a bit better. And to be honest, I was coping really hard when the module was first revealed. Ever since the module were introduced and operators could apply code debuff, it has been a demand and a running joke in the community that Frostleaf, as the original ice-based arts operator, should gain the code debuff at one point. And then we got a summary of the module, and it states that it has a chance to apply code. And for the one time in my life, I was really happy. I thought maybe she would finally be viable as a stall operator, a control operator, with slow on skill 1, bind on skill 2, and no code on module. And then they revealed the numbers. 25% chance to inflict code for 1.5 seconds. 1.5 seconds. 1.5 seconds. Like, why? Tell me, Hypergriff, why do you hate Frostleaf so much? Like, come on. Really? Was this really necessary? Let me give you context in case you forgot. Frostleaf's attacks every 1.45 seconds. This means that she is technically able to trigger code by herself. If you're lucky to win the 6.25% lottery. And not to forget why the enemy is in melee range. Because of her projectile travel time, it is long enough for the code effect to wear off. Therefore, making it not really viable at maximum range, and only with other players of code such as Gnosis, Aurora, Kiera, Frostleaf Module, and Santala. And to anyone that might think, well, maybe skill 2 will finally be useful. But to be honest, skill 2 also won't solve this problem. Let me give you a rundown why skill 2 won't solve this problem, which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with a module, but with Frostleaf of herself. While her skill 2 gives a good amount of ASPD, therefore making her attacks roughly every second, solving the problem with longer ranges, it's still not fast enough to make it consistent. In the end, it just gives more chances to apply the code debuff, but the skill is flawed nonetheless, with it needing 50 SP to charge, having an uptime of only 25 seconds, and no starting SP, making it really bad. And let's keep in mind, while the ASPD increase is nice, and it helps improve her DPS, she doesn't have the stats to be a good DPS unit. If skill 2 would give some attack up, then it would be so much better. If it would have a lower DP cost, it would be so much better. If it would have any sort of buff, it would be so much better. And with all of these things put together, it feels like they really put a nail in her coffin. I don't know how you could design a module that bad. Like, it was intentionally designed to not make her all too viable. But she still won't be much of use, except for the niche pick that is Arknights. But to not end this video on a low note, let's talk about how they could improve Frostleaf's module, and what they could do for Frostleaf Y module. If they ever decide to do buffs again and or reworks, please, I beg of you. First things first, in case they should ever do a buff, increase the base chance of applying code to 2550 and then the duration of the code to 2 seconds. This would already be significant, helping out with her slow ASPD and CC use and also making the code more consistent. With this, she would not need increased ASPD, since it would make her the best low rarity crowd control operator. And yes, I am aware that there most likely are better crowd control operators, but let me cope a bit here. But what would a low Y module now look on her? How would I personally go on about it? How would I design it? First things first, the ASPD increase from the trade expansion, already good for her DPS. Second thing, 2 options for talent improvements. Oh no, never mind, make it 3. First option, increase attack range further and reduce attack interval to make her normal again, or a bit faster. It just gives her more range to cover, potentially slowing down more enemies, while she would then have some relatively decent DPS again. Second option, attacks apply slow, that regenerates SP for every slow target inside her attack range. This would then help out with her other skill, with her skill 2. Because her skill 2 takes pretty long to charge, gaining SP from other sources such as slowed targets would definitely help with skill uptime. It would also then combo perfectly with other operators that apply the sluggish slow debuff. And a third option would be increases damage against targets that are slowed, bound or frozen. Because Frostleaf doesn't have that much attack damage, gaining an amplifier on those targets would definitely help out a lot. I am talking like, I don't know, maybe like 50 to maybe like 60% increase. Since she's able to apply slow by herself, it would also make skill 2 a solid burst option in some cases. And let's not forget about the stat increases this module should bring. We are talking like attack and ASPD, which are a must in this case. And this would be how I would personally design her low Y module. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment, and if you made it this far, tell me what you would change. At this point, I'm just hoping that Frostleaf Module will release soon and that she won't follow in her footsteps and actually be a viable operator. I should make a video about that, but I would need some artists. Anyways, I see you around next time to another video of mine.